What is up, you guys? This is Mark with the Chumcast, and I am back again, not just with the mustache, but with my comic book picks of the week. Stay tuned, and let's do this. All right, before we get started, you know the routine. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below, smash that like button, hit the notification bell so you can get updates whenever we post new videos. I actually am going to be doing a giveaway. I announced it last week, but again, I'm giving away Spider-Man Miles Morales number 13, which is the first appearance of Miles Morales' baby sister, Billy Morales, as well as Absolute Carnage number 1, one of my favorite series from last year. This is the Hulk variant cover. Very freaking sweet. Stay to the end of the video to see how to enter. All right, first up for the indies this week is Wynd number 1, published by Boom Studios. This is written by James Tynion IV. And this variant cover, which is kind of hard to see on camera, but this is the 1 per store variant, black and white, by Dan Mora. Supposedly, this is actually the most limited 1 per store variant that Boom Studios has done thus far. They started launching these exclusives like a year ago. There is a very amazing Peach Momoko variant, which I would highly recommend getting, and may be a little bit more easy to get than this one right here, but both very awesome covers. This one is taking place in a fairy tale kingdom called Pipetown. The main character is, if you didn't guess, Wynd, who has a terrible dream in the first couple pages where he's tossing and turning, and then he turns into just some murderous looking bear bat bird thing, I guess. So we learn that the people in this town, in Pipetown, hate people with magic, which they called weird bloods, and Wynd just so happens to be a weird blood. Anyways, we get a further look into what kind of fantasy world this is. Wynd is working at a diner, and there's some cool contraptions how he's serving the food. Wynd then leaves, though, he leaves on his lunch break to go to the top of a roof and watch a guy run with his shirt off with his telescope. So that's kind of the first reveal we get about his sexuality, but it was just a little bit creepy to me because Wynd does look like he's 13 years old, and this guy running looks like he could be like early 20s or whatever. So just had a little bit of a creepy vibe, especially since he was watching him from afar with a telescope. So anyways, the guy that Wynd is watching with his telescope is a royal gardener by the name of Thorn. Thorn, later in this issue, is called by the prince of this kingdom, where it is also revealed that they maybe once had or still have a relationship together. But the prince tells Thorn that the current king, his father, is under suspicion that the prince is going to be murdered, and once he dies, his throne will end up going to his uncle. So they're kind of on watch. They hire this guy to come into town and keep an eye on this prince. Overall, I thought it was a promising first issue. I wouldn't be surprised if this actually turns out to be one of the better series we get in 2020. I'm going to get issue number 2, but over the last couple of weeks, I'm not going to lie, this series has been overhyped. I don't know if it really deserved that hype. We shall see, though. So next up is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, number 5 of this 5-part miniseries. This is published also by Boom and IDW, since it's a crossover. It's written by Ryan Parrott, and the art is done by Simone DeMeo, and this cover is also done by Dan Mora. So this is one series that I actually really wished I listened to people when they were telling me, hey, pick this up. But to be honest, I've never been that big of a Power Rangers fan, nor a Ninja Turtles fan, besides like the first couple movies that came out. Those were freaking amazing. But I gave in after reading further solicitations and a bunch of people telling me, hey, you're screwing up right now. You need to be reading this. I went ahead and grabbed this last issue. This is not just an awesome book for youngins, but adults as well. There is a really cool concept for a crossover that they do, obviously, between the Turtles and the Rangers. If you're like me and you're just jumping into this, go grab issue number 5. Grab the last issue of this 5-part series. It has a first appearance that you're going to want to keep in your collection. All right, quick trivia. Amy Jo Johnson, who played the Pink Ranger in the Power Rangers TV show, said that when they originally started filming, the show was going to be called what? A. Dino Rangers, B. Ranger Danger, C. Ranger Beasts, or D. Vicious Rangers. Well, if you guessed A, Dino Rangers, you got it right. Good shit. All right, on to DC Comics, Metal Men number 7. This is written by Dan DiDio and Shane Davis. Art is done by Davis and Michelle Delecki. This team of 6 superhero robots appeared way back in the day in 1962 in DC Comics Showcase number 37. The characters reappeared in the following 3 issues of Showcase and turned out to be popular enough to eventually get their own title in 1963, 1 year later. So the Metal Men are, yes, a team of AI superheroes that were created by a character named Dr. Magnus. All of the 6 metal men were named after a metal, and whatever metal they were, that's kind of what their abilities were as well. So the 6, starting with Gold, this metal man could stretch his form almost indefinitely. There was Iron, who was super strong. There was Lead, who could block harmful radiation. Mercury could melt and pass through small spaces before reforming. And there was also Platinum and Tin. They could basically just stretch, flatten, or spin into fine filaments. Yes, I did pretty much just pull that all from Wikipedia. This was actually a really fun issue. This is one book where, since I've been picking it up, you can kind of already tell. The art and the coloring especially really pops off the page. We get introduced to some new characters called Metal Animals. You'll see that here on the cover. You might be thinking, as I was, metal men, metal animals. And in this issue, they're actually facing off against these group of villains called the Missile Men. Are you kidding me, Mark? That shit sounds lame as hell. Yeah, well, that's what I thought. But I was completely wrong. This is surprisingly great. 2 more books left this week. This one is Strange Adventures number 2. This is written by Tom King. Art is done by Mitch Gerrits and Evan Shaner. So I was lucky enough to actually sit down with these guys at C2E2 and talk about this book before it even hit shelves.
It's like singing in harmony, kind of. They're like different notes, but they are on the same wavelength. Yep. That's a fucking metaphor. I'm a goddamn writer.
You can check out that video right now on our channel if you want. It is under the comic book playlist. These guys were unbelievably awesome to talk to. So Strange Adventures has been around a long time, since the 1950s. This 12-issue series, Reincarnation, by King, Gerrits, and Shaner, is about Adam Strange. Adam Strange is a man famous throughout the galaxy for basically winning a planetary war for his home planet, Ran. In the first issue, back before all this quarantine stuff happened, so it's been a little while, we learned that Adam Strange came back to Earth with his wife and has written a biography about himself. We then get introduced to Mr. Terrific, a superhero we don't really hear much about these days. Mr. Terrific is questioned by Batman about the validity of Adam Strange's self-told stories about his acts of valor during the war. And Batman basically asked Mr. Terrific to start investigating Adam Strange. But what's Mr. Terrific going to do? Tell him no? I don't think so. I love this second issue. We find out that Adam Strange is most likely definitely hiding some really messed up shit. And Mr. Terrific, whether he likes it or not, is going to get to the bottom of it. The reason I'm so convinced, this issue fully gives you the idea of how freaking smart Mr. Terrific is. There's this little AI robot floating next to him throughout the whole issue, just belting out questions, asking him everything from history, trigonometry, whatever, like really, really tough questions that only a super, super smart guy could be able to answer. Actually, nobody could probably answer the questions that this thing was asking him. But he's getting everything correct. And the last page of this hit really hard. There is a panel where Mr. Terrific is asked a question by this AI, and it's the one question he's unable to answer, and you realize why he's not able to answer that. And we get the idea that Mr. Terrific has had some emotionally traumatizing things that have happened to him, which will most likely surface later on in this series. Fun fact. In Justice League of America number 4, Wonder Woman proposes for the first time in the Justice League's history that they add a new member. Immediately, the Flash blurts out a suggestion. How about Adam Strange? He's achieved an excellent record. I guess no one really cares about the Flash's opinion because the Green Arrow was later chosen as that new member. I'm going to make 2 predictions about Strange Adventures. First one being that this one is going to win the Eisner Award for Best Limited Series next year. Second one being that Mr. Terrific's popularity is going to go up tremendously after the series is finished. I got nothing else to say. Make sure you read this series. Last book up is Dark Knight's Death Metal. This is written by Scott Snyder and art is done by none other than Greg motherfucking Capullo. I grabbed another variant for this. I had to. I've been waiting for this all year. So when I heard about this, I was super, super, super stoked. I had to grab at least one other issue, and I chose this 1 in 25 variant by Doug Mahnke. Batman is thrashing a guitar. Metal. Let's go, baby. And I'm sure you probably already guessed, this is my cover of the week. So yeah, this is the follow-up to Dark Knight's Metal. You probably didn't guess this. We thought everything was maybe good at the end of Dark Knight's Metal. It is not. So Wonder Woman now is pretty much at the mercy of the Batman Who Laughs. The Batman, of course, makes his comeback halfway through, and without telling you guys too much, he basically brings back the dead. That's all I'm going to say. There's also, of course, because it's the Batman Who Laughs and he's from all these other multiverses, he brings his other Batmans to assist him in taking over Earth. And all these other Batmans from different multiverses are completely outrageous, but also very awesome. There is a Batman who is actually the conscious of Batman, who is now in the T-Rex, which you'll know from the Batcave. But that's what Dark Knight's Metal is. It's a completely new take on what it can mean for something to come from a different multiverse. You have all these new and original characters. Whether or not they're outrageous, that's just something, if you can't get past, then I wouldn't recommend reading this. It is outrageous. It is pretty ridiculous. But it also, in my opinion, makes some of the better reads we've seen in a while in terms of Batman. Overall, if you haven't read Dark Knight's Metal, I highly suggest you do. If you have, pick this book up. If you like Dark Knight's Metal, this is not going to steer you wrong. It is outrageous. It is a new take on Batman and his villains and the characters within this universe. It is my favorite take on Batman in recent years. And oh my God, the last page of this issue, talk about shit we've never seen before. Wonder Woman has welded down a weapon using the metal from her invisible plane. And oh my God, it's over the top, but I freaking love it. There are a lot of new takes and a lot of new designs of the characters we love in this first issue of Dark Knight's Death Metal. Just pick this one up. This is another creation by Snyder and Capullo that you're not going to forget. All right, guys, that wraps it up. Thank you for sticking it out with me. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I have a giveaway. So to win the Absolute Carnage #1 Hulk variant cover and the Miles Morales Spider-Man issue number 13, first appearance of Billy Morales, go ahead and comment below what your favorite Spider-Man villain is. And also, let me know what you think about the books I picked out this week. Is there something I'm missing? Something you recommend that wasn't on my list? Just let me know in the comments. I want to hear from you guys. And please click that subscribe button down below. Hit that notification bell. Click that like. It really helps out the show. I appreciate you guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. Until next time, Jumps out.